Good evening, everyone. Happy Sunday, and thank you once again for joining me for yet another card making tutorial. Today, I am going to be talking about just embossing, just a few embossing tips that I'd like to share with you. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel. That would be very much appreciated. And of course, click on the bell so you will not miss any future videos. So I just want to start off by talking just a little bit about embossing, folders. I have two here that I'm going to do a bit of demonstrating with, but for now I'm going to set it aside. So over my course of card making, I ended up with quite a bit of just I went on an embossing folder spree because I thought they were so cute and so nice, so I just kept embossing and embossing. And then after a while I realized I had a whole bunch of embossed paper that I wasn't utilizing. So what I am actually doing right now is I looked at my stash. I do have way more than that, but I looked at my stash and I was thinking of just sharing with you little ways that if you do end up having a bunch of those, maybe ways you can cut them to be able to use up in your card making. So these have actually these are just white and plain. You might want to add a little color to them if you wish. You can use pencil colors if you would like, just to add color to them. Or you could use a brayer with color, and I'll show you how to use the brayer in a minute. I think last week I did do a video on using the brayer. So these are just a whole bunch of embossing papers that I'm going to be working with. So what I did is I went ahead and I got some of them and I cut them in different sizes, scallop circles, that I can utilize as focal points on any of my cards in the future. And of course I will definitely work on doing one of those cards so you can see, instead of throwing out and getting frustrated with a whole bunch of embossed paper, you could cut it down, and just utilize it somewhere somehow in your card making. You could also use them to make tags. If you want, you could add them to tags. It just depends on what you want to do. So I will be thinking about how to use those later. I also cut them down into different shapes. So this is a shape I can always utilize on a card, somewhere smaller pieces, and this would be the smallest. And of course these are just more circles and little rectangles that I had cut out previously. So if you want to maybe mount them one on top of the other, it's entirely up to you. But of course you'll be using other hopefully other paper and stuff like that along with it so that you can get the effect that you're looking for. The other thing that you could do, if you're going into embossing, you could actually color the embossing folder first and then run the paper through it, which would give you this sort of effect. So basically what you would do is you would apply the ink directly on here, and then once you put the paper in, you close, you emboss, most likely you'll get something like this. It just depends on the pattern. So this is another way you could utilize an embossing folder. Now today I am going to be doing it a little different in that I am going to be just demonstrating. I will not necessarily be using it, but I'm going to use the brayer to color my paper first, and then I'm going to emboss it, and then we shall see how it comes out. So to get started, this is just photo paper, excess photo paper. Usually when you buy a camera or something, you get that photo paper. So I'm going to use this embossing folder. It's a bird and a tree on it. I'm going to go ahead and use the brayer and just color it up a little bit. And again, there is no perfect thing about card making really is just what you enjoy. Now, if for those of you who don't know what the brayer is, this is a brayer. It's just a solid kind of roller, like a paint roller sort of thing that you would use for card making and for other painting projects. But this one I am using specifically for card making. So I'm going to go ahead, and I have this 4 palette colors here. I'm going to use this front one, the 2 front ones, green and blue. And what you basically do is you just roll, lift. So you could get the color going evenly around. So you just keep like this. Okay. Now, when you're utilizing the brayer, don't just start on the paper because you get a lump. So what you're going to do is you're going to start from on a surface and move forward. Okay, so we're going to do this again. Start off the paper and move forward. You can go back and forth if you want to. It's entirely up to you, but at least you will be able, if you just come with a lump just off the top, you're going to mess yourself up seriously. So I'm going to flip this, and so far you can see how pretty it looks. I'm going to flip this. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go off onto the paper, and I'm just going to just keep rolling it through until I get a nice color, nice blended color. Now this is photo paper, so unfortunately the photo paper is going to be a little wet, but that's okay. So I'm going to just go all up. All right, so if you can take a look, I'm just going to close this here for a minute, and look how pretty this is. It's like a mixture of aquamarine and green. Okay, so I'm just going to set this thing here aside. Just going to kind of give it a little shake here for a minute, and now I am going to put it into the embossing folder like this. Now it's longer than the embossing folder. That's okay. This is just purely demonstrating. I'm going to now go ahead and put it into my freestyle embossing and die cutting manual machine. Okay, this freestyle, I like it because it just basically has 2 plates for embossing, 2 plates for die cutting, and that's it. So I'm going to go ahead and place this in here, and I'm going to run it through. Okay, so hopefully we're gonna get, I'm just going to run it back just one more time just to make sure, but you don't necessarily have to. I have 2 embossing manual machines. One is the Cricut Cuttlebug, which I love, and this one is just a freestyle. Now take a look here. You see how pretty this is? Now this here excuse me, this would be an option for you to go ahead and color the paper and then run it through the embossing machine. Now this is pretty simple. Now if you want to be a little more dramatic and add more color, of course you will go ahead and get some more color from your palette, or you can mix it with other colors. So let's just mess around a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other 2 sides. I have is blue and black pretty much. So I'm going to start from this end, and I'm going to roll. I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to get back to the bottom. I'm just going to turn this way. I'm going to roll from the bottom off to the sheet and go this way. I think this way gives me a smoother look. Now you have this side which is more of an indentation, or with the embossing folder. I like this side, but you can also flip it, and then of course you still have, you know, it just depends on which side. This is more of the elevated side. So let's see what this side looks like if we do use the brayer on it. And it just depends on how much color you're looking for. You don't necessarily have to overcolor anything, but I like the brayer. Let's do it this way. Okay, so here is another option for you. You can either use this side of your embossing folder, which is the part that basically should be that's the side with the raised image, and this would be for the indented image. It's up to you as to which side you would like to use. There is no it's just up to you really. So that is one of the ways that you could actually color the paper first before you go ahead and use the embossing folder. So I'm just going to cut that out, and I have a choice to either use it again, like I said, this way, or I can just flip it over and use it as this. So it's entirely up to me. So I'm going to set this aside right now. Then I'm going to try let me see this here, because this piece here, you know, as a crafter, you always think, oh, I can use this for something else. So I'm just going to run the brayer over it just to smooth out the color. And I'm going to set this aside. I might be able to use it for something else. Okay, so I'm going to put it right up here. Now, I am going to do the other folder, if I can find it. Okay, there we go. Now this folder here is basically a star with a ray of sunshine. Now I don't necessarily want it to be a ray of sunshine. It's entirely up to me. But again, I am going to go ahead and do the folder first this time, and then run it through the embossing machine. So we will see what effects we get. So I'm going to apply the color here. Let's go ahead and do another color. Hold on. Just going to run this. Okay, so I have something of a blue. So I'm going to see how this goes. Now with this one, I'm going to just run it like this. Let's do that again. Or you can just apply directly to the like using the ink, the stamping ink. You can just apply direct here, just like by dabbing it. You can do that as well. Okay, so that is the blue I'm applying to the folder. Now I am going to set this aside again, and I am going to put in the, let me see, how do I want this? I think I want the image to be on this, on the shiny side, so I'm going to turn it upside down. I'm going to close it. And I am going to run it through the embossing machine. Okay, just set it up. Okay, I'm gonna put it through. Let's see how it comes out. Now I don't know why it does do that sometimes. It just depends on the folder or what is going on at the time. But yes, it may cause a little noise, but don't worry, that's normal to hear a little crackling from time again. So let's see. Oops, I did it the wrong way. Okay, so it looks like I flipped it the wrong way. Sorry about that. I wanted the these impressions here, the elevated side, to be on this side, but still at least you can see or get the general idea of, you know, the effect you can get. So what it did was it colored all the in between spaces and the dots, and it left the white, which made a very, very nice pattern that you can use, you know, with your card making. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut this off. And then what I will do is let me use another photo paper. Let's see if the remnants of the ink on that folder will give us some kind of impression. So I'm going to do this again. Oops. Giving me a bit of a challenge. So I'm going to go ahead and put it this way now. Let's see. Was it this way? I'm trying to figure out which way I had it the first time. Okay, let's do it this way. It might be this way. I am not sure. You know what? Guys, forgive me. Let me try inking both sides because I wanna be able to make sure I am showing you the effect that I want to show you. So I am just going to be doing both sides of the, so that we can see. Just making sure all of this it has. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to just close this off right now like this. Close it off. Yeah, sometimes, to be honest, I get a little confused about the side that is elevated or not, and I'm sorry. I gotta work on that a little bit. So let me get this in here. And let me try again. But essentially, I'm trying to get you to see the imprint on both sides. So let's see if this is going to give us the option. Okay, get this aside. Okay. All right. Okay, so let's look at this again. So this is the depressed side, basically. So this embossing folder, this is the top. So when I inked this side, I would imagine, guys, I am so sorry. I am still confused about this. Please forgive me. But just let's look at the concept, what I'm trying to explain. So either side you use will give you two different effects. It's just that you would need to, you know, get to know which side that works better for you. So one side I inked one side of the, well, both sides, of course, this time. One side gave me, again, all the little grooves, the color, including the star. But when you flip over, look at the difference. See? Right now, the sides are color, and the white elevated areas are not. So this is basically what an embossed folder will do. It just depends on which side you prefer. So, you know, again, you could color the folder itself and then run it with your paper, or you could color the paper first and run it through and get something like this. And this is really pretty. I like this. It's really pretty. And look at the sides here. I mean, it just gives you this really nice look. But again, this is photo paper. You know, just regular photo paper you get. I think photo paper does work nice as well. And I have used it in my cards before. So these are just some options. Okay. So with that said, if you have any questions, I know I am still a little, or still experimenting with knowing which side is the elevated side for the embossing folder and which is not. And I guess I just got to pay a little more attention to that. But embossing folders can really give you, you know, some really nice patterns as long as you know how to lay it and which side you want to color and things like that. So it's entirely up to you. So thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to you joining me next week for another tutorial. And by then I will be able to figure out which side of the embossing folder that I want to use. So thank you so much for watching. See you again next week. Happy New Year. Stay safe, and I wish each and every one a prosperous and successful 2021. Bye bye.